And joy in unity, victors in the struggle for their right. We won freedom's fight. Oh, one strong and free. Praise be to praise be, praise be, praise be. Bless our great nation, Zambia, Zambia. Free men we stand under the flag of our land. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one strong and free.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, the work that you have given us is to be but part of your efforts to make this creation a better place. And as the stewards of your creation, we seek your wisdom and guidance and protection as we continue to serve public interest. We make our prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen. Please be seated. Sanitation and Environmental Protection, Dr. Bishop Edward Chonga. The Millennium Challenge Corporation Resident Country Director, Stephen Mama. The Managing Director, Lusaka Water and Storage Company, Jonathan Kampata. Of course, I was going to say Engineer Jonathan Kampata. The Chief Executive Officer, Millennium Challenge Account Zambia, is Pamela Kasese Waria. NWASCO Director, Kelvin Chitumbo. The water supply for urban poor country representative will be talking about Ruben Sikuma with All-Weather Friend, continues to support us in most of these events. Directors from Lusaka Water and Storage Company, directors from Millennium Challenge Account Zambia, our consultant from Lusaka, members of staff from the two institutions, the Lusaka Water and Storage Company, representatives from other organizations, our friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the launch of the Asset Maintenance Management System for Lusaka Water and Storage Company. And you are aware, most of us simply talk about the water supply and sanitation infrastructure. We talk about the drainage system that is being constructed with support from the Millennium Challenge Corporation. But what we don't see are these efforts in technical assistance. Building the necessary capacity in these institutions, that is Lusaka City Council, as well as Lusaka Water and Storage Company, to ensure that these assets that they are going to take over, are in furtherance of the investments that have been implemented under this compact. So, guest of honor, it is good that you are here with us to give us the support and to continue encouraging Lusaka Water and Storage Company towards optimal service provision, because the end beneficiary of this product and whatever we do is the people that are in these communities. So the program is going to run as such. We're going to have a brief background to the asset management portfolio. What does it mean? And what are we talking about? And there'll be a short PowerPoint presentation, and then a demo of the EDAMS. And this is going to be led by, Andi Muri, and then Ms. Kasabwe Mkandawire and Clive Mukuka will present. And then after that, we'll have remarks. We invite Andi here to come and give us a background.
Permanent Secretary, Bishop Dr. Ed Chonga, Country Director, Millennium Challenge Corporation, Mr. Steve Mama, the Chief Executive Officer of MCSZ, Ms. Pamela Moya, the Managing Director of LWSC, Mr. Jonathan Campata, Directors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to you all. My name is Andy Omori, Project Team Leader, Implementing Asset Management Consultant. In April 2017, Sureka Violia, in partnership with Hydrocom, were appointed as the Implementing Asset Management Consultant by the LWSC to provide technical assistance to implement Phase 2 asset management within LWSC, funded by the Millennium Challenge. So, a big question, why asset management within LWSC? The LWSC as an organization acquires, operates, maintains and disposes of physical assets to provide water and wastewater services for its customers in Lusaka. So asset management is at the core of the LWSC business. As per ISO 55000, asset management is defined as the coordinated activities of an organization to realize value from its assets. The LWSC is expected to take over assets from various ongoing projects worth over $1 billion US, 35% of which are compact projects funded by the MCC. Therefore, the LWSC has a challenging responsibility to have in place the required management tools, techniques, systems, and people to acquire, operate, and maintain those assets. LWSC seeks to develop itself into a mature asset management organization. Therefore, a framework for a consistent and coordinated approach to asset management practices has been established under this project, which provides a robust platform for LWSC to manage the assets, performance, cost, and risk throughout their life cycle. Working together with the LWSC as an integrated asset management team, this project has delivered tangible outputs. Among them is the implementation and rollout of the computerized management system, which is the EDAMS MMS. Now, for this system to actually work effectively and deliver required results, it is to be supported with robust asset management policy, strategy, objectives, plans with relevant KPIs, which we have developed as a team and implemented. Now I'm just going to go through some of the key achievements of the project. The first one, which is key, is we now have an approved embedded asset management policy within LWSC. An asset inventory data quality management with 99% of LWSC assets updated on the asset register. NGIS with nearly 75% asset data validation completed. We've set up a full-fledged training center for LWSC and approved as IAM examination center, apparently the first one in Zambia. Proposal to operationalize the steering committee for good governance within LWSC. We've delivered 266 man-days of workshops and 482 man-days of training as part of an extensive cross-organizational capacity building program. 19 LWSC staff trained as Maintenance Management System expert trained the trainer, and a total of 291 staff today trained on the Maintenance Management System. We've developed an asset management system which is aligned with ISO 55001 requirements. We now have a strategic asset management plan which is going to be implemented obviously by the LWSC. Now this is aligned with LWSC organizational strategy plan 2018-2022, including the asset investment and life cycle cost planning. Implemented registers to systematically capture and manage risk, issue, and lessons learned. We've reviewed the LWSC asset disposal policy and procedure. Recently, we've developed an asset coding structure and tagging approval for LWSC to move forward. Last but not least, last week we delivered the business planning model. So these are just a few of the key activities carried out during the project. This project has been delivered on time, within scope, cost, and defined deliverables.
Let's give it up to the team.
Thank you. Now, the success of this project now relies on LWSC as beneficiary to take asset management to the next level by the full application of the newly acquired asset management tools, techniques, systems, processes aligned with the policy, strategy, objectives, and plans developed. I wish LWSC and its senior management success on this journey towards asset management excellence and obviously ISO 55000 certification. I seize this opportunity to thank the entire project team, LWSC, MCZ, MCC for their support and engagement during my time on this project. I am privileged and very much appreciate the constructive contribution of the entire team. And finally, Zambia is a beautiful place, beautiful country. Lusaka is beautiful, with beautiful people. I've had a splendid time here over the past. Thank you very much.
So let's go into the overview of asset management. As we heard from Andia earlier, the definition of asset management, according to ISO 55000, is the coordinated activities of an organization to realize value from assets. This realization is supposed to be from acquisition all the way to disposal. So throughout the life cycle of the asset, we are supposed to realize value from them. Now, an integral part of asset management is management of maintenance technical information. Lusaka Water has recognized the need to optimally utilize assets and manage them well. Well, someone might say it's a mere recognition. Lusaka Water, in its strategic plan of 2018-2022, has an objective to maximize the capacity utilization of assets. I think from that we can see the seriousness that Lusaka Water attaches to institutionalization of asset management. So, just a quick journey through the process that Lusaka Water took to where we want to be in asset management. As we heard from Andia, we had 6 tasks that have already been delivered, and this was done in conjunction with an asset management team that was constituted, and of course other functional areas in Lusaka Water that assisted. As he mentioned, all of these have been delivered and are being implemented as we speak. So, what are the benefits and what is EDAMS MMS? EDAMS MMS is a comprehensive technical information system that deals with maintenance in utilities. The maintenance module is specific for water and sewer networks, so it applies to Lusaka Water and its operations. So the MMS module addresses all the maintenance regimes. These are reactive, routine, preventive, and proactive regimes. It also facilitates allocation and utilization of personnel, resources, work order, and online stores requisitions. As we know, these are the resources that we need to complete a maintenance activity. So the system comes in handy to incorporate all of these when we are conducting our maintenance. So, the main purpose of EDAMS MMS is to improve productivity and efficiency of the maintenance function. As you know, Lusaka Water is an organization that is highly dependent on physical assets. Therefore, maintenance of these assets should be on top of the agenda. Okay, here we have the different components of the MMS system. Some of these systems, some of these components we are going to do as we do the live demonstration. But you can see that the system is robust. On our top left, we have telemetry. Also, we are able to monitor. We are able to monitor our maintenance activities, investigations, maintenance resources. As I mentioned, it's able to pull all the resources that we need for maintenance. And ultimately, the system is able to produce robust reports that are essential for decision makers. Also, as we can see at the bottom there, that this system has also analytical tools that are used, that can be used at different levels of decision making. Why then is Lusaka Water implementing EDAMS MMS? The first reason is to comply to legal and regulatory requirements. As we all know, Lusaka Water is regulated by NWASCO, and in NWASCO's strategic plan of 2016 to 2020, they indicated that CUs have inadequate maintenance management systems of their assets. Water and sanitation network data, maps, and asset registers are either not in place, incomplete, or not updated. On the same point, one of the goals of NWASCO is to ensure that CUs improve asset management. And an initiative, the second initiative, as we can see there, is to ensure that CUs implement maintenance management systems by 2020. What this entails is, as a utility ourselves, we are going to be required to report on asset management and specifically maintenance management systems by 2020. Therefore, Lusaka Water is preparing to oblige with our regulator, NWASCO. Second reason why we need MMS in Lusaka Water is because Lusaka Water has a wealth of physical assets that need to be maintained in a well-coordinated and efficient manner to satisfy stakeholders' requirements. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to have a look at the portfolio, the asset portfolio that Lusaka Water has. And from there you can see, for instance, that Lusaka Water has 5,248 valves scattered across the city. We need to efficiently manage maintenance of such assets. And MMS is here to provide that platform for us to be efficient. We can look at the water line. We have about 1,724 kilometers of water line. And we all know that Lusaka Water is trying to reduce on non-revenue water. And to achieve that objective, we are going to do a lot of maintenance and rehabilitation on these assets. And thus, we really need a system like EDAMS MMS that is going to assist us in coordinating and efficiently running our maintenance function. What are the benefits that are expected from the system? The first one is that we are going to improve the quality of service delivery. Because the maintenance function is going to be well coordinated, we are going to have less breakdown time. Also, we are going to effectively maintain our network assets and plans to extend the asset life. As I mentioned, that we have to derive value from assets throughout their life cycle. So if we maintain them well and we are able to extend the life of our assets, it means we are going to derive more value from our assets. Also, that will translate to the provision of reliable water and sewerage services. And indeed, ultimately, there is going to be a higher return on investment to our shareholders. As I mentioned earlier, this system is able to produce robust analysis and reports for different stakeholders at different levels of decision makers. As I mentioned earlier, it's to improve productivity and efficiency of the maintenance function. What this means, ladies and gentlemen, is what we are calling in our asset management team, the bottom, the down arrow and the top arrow. What this means is that we are going to reduce reactive maintenance and increase preventive maintenance. We are going to reduce reactive maintenance and increase preventive maintenance.
This is good. I'll invite introduce slide.
For the past 17 years, we've been grappling with implementing the maintenance management system. And on June 18, 2018, we finally went live. I think this has been a major milestone for Lusaka Water and Storage Company. We have captured over 4,000 complaints since we went live in the system. We're now going to demonstrate to you some salient features of the system, as well as how it has been adapted to our business environment. We'll also demonstrate how the system has been integrated with ACPAC and GIS, as well as the alignment of reactive maintenance activities to NWASCO's service level agreements. Further, we'll show you how we are using the system for job card costing and analysis. We are also going to demonstrate how we are managing some of the newly acquired assets within the maintenance management system. I now ask Mr. Kai Musona to come forward and present the system to you. Thank you very much.
A brief description of the system. We can see that all of our complaints are recorded in this system. So most of the complaints that are being shown are reactive complaints. Attach different stuff in Lusaka Water to a particular job. So this system will be person specific. It won't be a branch or group specific. We are also able to see what elements that are being used by Lusaka Water. This includes all the systems and tools that are owned by Lusaka Water that will be used for a particular complaint. We have also attached our stores to the system, so this will bring about accountability in our jobs. So we can see that all of our consumables, starting from as small components as a repair clamp all the way to pipes, are captured in the system. So these will be seen as we do our jobs. Then finally, it will also show us the difference between the planned versus the actual implementation of a project or a particular complaint. So this will show us how much we planned for a particular job, all the way up to when we are closing the job. It will show us how much we've spent. So it will show us an analysis of the two. Then I would also like to show you that this system has captured a lot of infrastructure, like my colleague Agre had alluded to earlier. So for example, we have captured Kaunda Square Ponds, which was recently handed over to Lusaka Water. So all of the components from Kaunda Square have been captured. As you can see, we have a schematic drawing that shows all the components starting from the screens all the way to the outlet channel. So all of our assets are being captured as they are handed over. Then my colleague also mentioned that we are trying to reduce all of the reactive maintenance jobs, which account for most of our jobs, and trying to improve on our preventive jobs. Therefore, I would like to show you all of the routine maintenance that have been captured. For example, all the routine jobs that are being conducted at Counter Square Ponds have been captured. This includes the person who's supposed to conduct the job and when that job is supposed to be conducted. So all of this information has been captured, and this will be sent as a notification to each member of staff that has been tasked to do that preventive job. We also mentioned that we have captured the GIS of all the elements that we are working on. So all of these elements can be seen on the system, where we are able to pinpoint where a problem is located, what that problem is. So we are able to connect to our GIS. As you can see, we are able to maneuver around and pinpoint where the problem is. So on my left-hand side, you can see all the elements that have been captured. We've captured all the way from sewer treatment plants and up to as small assets as air valves. So all these assets have been captured on the system. Then we are also able to capture the element record. This means that all of the activities that have been done on a particular system can be seen from the element record that has happened on the particular system. Thank you so much.
I love the energy. It's a lot of positive energy from the producer, and then from client himself. The energy is good. It's positive vibes that are coming through. It's a good platform, and I'm hoping that we will just go beyond having a platform to something that is proactive, so that we can continue seeing a better service delivery. PS, I received a complaint one day from Kablonga area. So I called the MD, he said, call Shani. So I called engineer Shani, he said, no, we don't have a shutdown. I said, but what's the problem? The client is complaining. So he called one of the managers in the area, he said, 2 days ago, I think after we restored supply, we forgot one valve, we didn't open. But I'm sure with this system, there will be no forgetting of certain valves in the system. So actually they opened it that morning, and I received a call from the particular complainant that no water has been restored. So I think this system comes in handy and is going to help and make work easy for Lusaka Water and Sewerage Company. That said, let me invite Engineer Jonathan Kampata to come and give us some remarks how appreciative he is of this system and how he's going to use it in managing the company. Engineer Jonathan Kampata. Sir, please come and deliver your remarks.
Thank you very much, the Company Secretary, Ministry of Water Development and Protection, the Resident Country Director, Mayor Challenge, Operation, Steve Mama, Chief Executive Officer, Mayor Child Account, Zambia, Mrs. Pamela, for which we are very grateful. This is one of the deliverables under the Millennium Challenge contract, which is aimed at improving the access to water and sanitation services, as well as strengthening Lusaka Water and Sewerage Company's capacity to effectively deliver on its mandates. As was indicated, we have a strategic plan 2018-2022. And PS, our vision is to be the best water utility company in Africa. This occasion signifies turning points in the operation of the company as the implementation of asset management system is a move towards efficiency and improved service delivery for our customers. Poor or lack of asset management can be possible to poor service delivery. Just like any assets need to be maintained for them to perform as designed, as well as ensure that they are not dated within a short time. For example, you can buy a brand new car today, don't take it for service. Within 6 months, it will be gone. But we have seen these old cars which they call vintage. They've been there for 50 years, 60 years, because of the maintenance that has been done by the owners. So it's very important for us to actually realize the full value of these assets that are acquired at great costs. Lusaka company, for example, as what was indicated, we have, for example, water lake network of 1,720 kilometers. Just to bring that into context. The distance from Lusaka to Kasama is 855 kilometers. So if you go from Lusaka to Kasama and back, you can imagine that's the water network which we actually have. And the distance from Lusaka to Livingstone, for example, is 478 kilometers or 480 kilometers. So if you travel from Lusaka to Livingstone, back to Lusaka, and back to Livingstone, so you can imagine the magnitude of the infrastructure. And we have to maintain every inch of that in terms of leakages, operation, and so on. So this is very important for us to know the condition of our infrastructure. The ongoing works have resulted in an increase in the value as well as the physical assets which the company is acquiring. This magnitude of asset investment has driven the need for us to have a robust asset management system. I must say that this system also is computerized, so we have to move also with technology. Because doing this manually, it can be rather cumbersome. In order to realize the benefits of the company asset management system, there is need for proper planning of preventive maintenance. We want to spend our time preventive maintenance. I think as the adage says, prevention is better than cure. So we spend this receiving cheaper to prevent and to fix something. So these activities will be attained for successful implementation of the system. To prepare ourselves, we have also changed our institution of framework. We have dedicated units under the Directorate of Infrastructure Planning and Development. We have a unit, and the unit is not made up of engineers only. So engineers don't think that asset management is your business only. We've got people from accounts, we've got people from IT, making up that unit. The capacity we have built, PS, is not only for Lusaka Water. We want to use this capacity to benefit the other utility companies as well. And interestingly enough, we can even go beyond the water utility companies. Even other utility companies like the telecom sector, in the electricity sector, can also be trained using the facilities which we have acquired. So we got contributing capacity building in the whole utility sector in Zambia. So for that, we thank Lusaka and MCA for that rare privilege which we've been given. May I conclude by expressing our gratitude once again to MCC and MCAZ for the support and the wonderful work experience that we have enjoyed. would have wished to come back to continue a few more hours. So to get tired of some of the loose ends, which we have. PS, allow me to get that as a Lusaka Water and Storage company, despite the challenges which we are facing now, I can confirm that this is just a passing phase due to the various initiatives which are ongoing. And that the very near future, you see a tremendous improvement in terms of the services which we are offering. Lastly, to all the Lusaka Water and Storage staff, I thank them for their commitment and the resolve to continue our performance improvements and the dedication to work. I thank you all.
MD, thank you very much for those remarks, and we look forward to seeing you as the shining example for utility companies in Zambia. So we'll be looking out for you to see how you continue performing in light of the support that you have received. It's one thing to make promises when the regulator is watching and the PS is listening. So they're telling a police officer, I promise I will never steal. I'm sure a policeman will be looking at you nicely. So, Kelvin Chitumbo, the director there from last week, he's documented your promises that you'll be watching. I can assure you, at Millennium Challenge, you have Engineer Chikamba Chipili and Stephen Mama. These people are passionate about this thing of asset management. I didn't even know what it was, but I always hear about it from them. They are passionate about it, they love it. They want to see things done. So I'm going to invite the Millennium Challenge Corporation Resident Country Director, Stephen Mama, to come and offer some remarks. You will notice from his remarks that he is passionate about this. Then even after compact closure, he will come back to see if it's working. Stephen, please.
Thank you very much, John. PS for the Ministry of Water Supply, Sanitation, and Environmental Protection. MD for the Lusaka Water and Sewage Company. MCA CEO. NOASCA Director. Lusaka Water and Sewage Company staff. MCA staff. Media. All protocols observed. First, I'd like to thank Jonathan for his effort and support and frank discussions that we've had. And I think only through that type of collaboration and honesty can we move forward and address the challenges that we recognize, and that is normal with any water utility. So again, thank you very much, Jonathan, for your hard work and your effort and your patience. I know I push pretty hard sometimes, but with our 5-year time frame, that's kind of how we have to operate. And I too wish sometimes we had a little bit more time. But again, thank you very much. Again, PS, also through the ministry, and thank you very much for your support. As a new ministry, and as our relationship grew, as the ministry grew also, again, thank you very much. So I have these talking points that I realize basically everyone else has already spoken about. So that's one of the disadvantages of coming toward the end. PS, you'll have even a greater challenge than I do. So I'm supposed to talk about the system and the financial reporting, the business practice, the business model that was mentioned, the work with WASCO and compliance with regulations, the network reliability, cost savings. So I'm not going to talk about these things. And what I do want to touch on is maybe 3 quick points. One is customer satisfaction. Another is behavior change. I had a nice discussion when I walked in here this morning about that. I think it relates to some key points Jonathan mentioned about building capacity and how that's done. And then the financial health of Lusaka Water. So I don't have anything here on script, so you have to excuse me a little bit. But this work, actually, I'm more proud of than any construction project that we've done, and we've done 9 of them. This is really the sustainability and long-term health of Lusaka Water. How they manage their finances, along with other key issues like non-revenue water, which we know is a big challenge. But asset management requires integrated business plan throughout the entire company, working with all the branches, and it has to be integrated. And to do that, how do you become successful? Well, Jonathan mentioned capacity building. But to do that, that also requires a change in behavior. And this is one of the hardest things to accomplish. And I think you know this within your own institution when other projects come online or a new system comes online. And sometimes it requires more work for us. But to be successful, there are really 4 key parts of behavior change. So those are knowledge, 1. So you have to have the knowledge, and I hope you have that. From what I've seen today, I think you have that knowledge. 2 is you have to have the right attitude. So, for example, I could be a cigarette smoker. I know it's bad, okay? We all know it's bad. My attitude is, I don't care, so I'm gonna keep on smoking. So what is your attitude about asset management and how you integrate that in your daily work? So that's a very important part. Another area is related to knowledge is the skills. They're intertwined. So you may have the knowledge and understanding, but you still have all the skill sets to implement that. So that's very important. And that implementation comes to the last one, practice. So you know all these things, you have the skills. What is your daily practice? Do you go about with the behavioral change that makes this work, or you just go back to your old routine and say, no, I don't really want to change my practice. I'm going to keep on smoking a cigarette every day. So I think this is a very key part. It's not easy to do, but I would encourage Lusaka Water to challenge yourself every day to try to take that positive attitude and look at the practices and how you can implement this. And then this will ultimately relate to higher customer satisfaction, one of the other points I mentioned. So, I know, working for utility is not easy, and hearing complaints or reading about complaints, I mean, that can, if you work in the complaint department, that can be a pretty depressing job. So it's important that this is integrated throughout the utility, that when there are leaks, when there are problems with valves, those are addressed. And that is all part of asset management, operations maintenance, but also you plan for that. So you avoid many of these complaints. So that's something I think is a key indicator. Look at how many complaints we've had over a period of time, even with more assets. And will the number of complaints go down? And they will if you use preventative maintenance on your assets. So again, I encourage you to take that route. But ultimately, this will improve your financial health. Customers will use more water, they won't go to individual boreholes. New customers will sign up, and you'll have less losses. So those are kind of the 3 key points I want to make, and now I'll return to my speech here. And also, like Jonathan, I have the analogy of a car. So I think, much like your car, your house, you have to plan and you have to budget for asset management. And we hopefully maintain these, which is a lot cheaper than waiting for them to break down. So essentially, I think all of us are asset managers with our individual property. So again, become asset managers for Lusaka Water. So finally, again, both the United States government and MCC, which is part of the government, I think has a very good partnership with both Lusaka Water and MCA, and the government. And this government has been an excellent supporter of this compact. From the Ministry of Water, from the Ministry of Local Government, Ministry of Finance, they have been one of the best partners in the world in many aspects. So, essentially on the eve, when we are coming to the end, November 15th of the compact, and an excellent relationship, again, I just want to give everyone a thank you from my end for your support and sometimes tolerating my trying to push and move things forward. And with that, I'll end. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Steve. Thank you. When Steve says pushing, he pushes. And all he does is he sends you short emails. Those short emails, you know the punchy emails where you're wondering whether I'm fired or I'm still hired. Depending on how I respond to this email. Yeah, and those emails sometimes come at 03. But it's okay, we managed to do very well. But I love that phrase, the best partner in the world amongst those countries that have done compacts in terms of government commitment. Let's give it up to the government. Sometimes it's easier to simply criticize when they're negative, but where there are positives like this, if we've been good, we've been good, no? Nice one. In Nyanja, what Steve was saying in Nyanja is, Lusaka water members of staff, please stop this thing of Vaboma. That's what you're saying, Vaboma, because you van. So, Msenza Munga ni private company. Mamilizo company, Sindi na company, so if you heard what you're saying. But I love one thing, you know, when I call Gidi, there's an issue here. Gidi Kyomwe is the infrastructure development, director. So Gidi, and he says, I'll get back to you shortly. And Gidi gets back to you and tells you as it is. When you call Morgan Kakumbi, either you have an issue in Wamwenandeke Bona Valley, and you tell them a complaint or an issue, he will call you back within 15 minutes or so and say, there is a problem, we can't solve this issue, but we'll deal with it tomorrow. That's the attitude I think that you're talking about. And then all of us, if we develop that positive attitude, I think it will be easy for Jonathan Kambata. He won't be running around on Saturday waiting to see if the valve on Tokyo Way is being fixed nicely. He will be enjoying some guavas at home. With that said, I have the privilege of inviting the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Water Development, Sanitation and Environmental Protection, Bishop Edward Chomba, to come and deliver the keynote address.
From the church, they've taught us that no one should give you accolades. Because once they clap for you, we are taught you ain't going to enter the kingdom of God. So I received that rather very cautiously. Allow me to take cognizance of my brothers and sisters that are here, beginning with Steve. Thank you for being here, Pamela, Sister Pamela. Grateful that you could come around to be with us today, very important as well. Jonathan, immensely grateful. My fellow seminarian, Dr. Kunda, immensely grateful that you could be here together with us. And Ruben from Avananpua, very grateful once again. My brother directors, and from Lusaka and from MCC Corporation and MCA Zambia as well, immensely grateful. To the consultant, and Leah, you can never just tell us to say Zambia is the best place to live in and then you don't test our food. I think we've got to see you eating pua, and things like that. Then we believe that definitely this is a very good place where to be. And of course, our cooperating partners that are here today, I'm immensely grateful. The scribes, the faith state, the media. Thank you very, very much that you are here. Invited guests that are here, distinguished brothers and sisters. All that begins well, ends well. And everything that my colleagues have talked about, I think I'm duty bound that we may try to synchronize it and simplify it and try to just package it in a language in which we can fully first understand. What brings us here together is very simple and straightforward. And I think, my brother MD, for Mwasco Chitumbo is also taking note, and then we'll be able to compare and acknowledge his presence here. When Steve was pronouncing water, there was no fuss. When it comes to me, he's always proud. And I just don't know. But maybe a few tidbits from ourselves. And I think, we've inherited this English language that is not so very, very much rich compared to other languages as well. The letter T in water is rather a soft letter or a silent letter. So you don't pronounce it. So we just call it water. And I think language, basically. You know, the letter I between the A and M, Parliament, is rather silent. So you don't pronounce it as Parliament, it is rather Parliament. And so we've got to conscientize ourselves better. The word written as honor, with beginning with an H, is never pronounced as honor, it is honor. You check your dictionaries. Pneumonia is not pronounced as pneumonia. And I think it's just a lighter note. The word knock is not pronounced as knock. It is knock. So it is also, depending on where you are in the United Kingdom, the letter or the word often, if you are up north, it is pronounced as often. So the letter ET is very silent. And for me, to you, my brothers and sisters, obviously, this is very exfoliating for me, that we could come together and simply just come and launch and talk about asset management maintenance system for Lusaka, the first of its kind. And I think that is very, very important. But I want to be very quick and hasty to say that all these things that we are able to talk about in terms of asset management or human management or, you know, fiduciary responsibility, all hinges on the attitude that everybody else has spoken about. If people are going to ask me to say, what has been your contribution to the water sector? It is working together with my colleagues across, you know, all the departments, including commercial utilities. And in this new ministry, I want to submit that when I was appointed as a permanent secretary, I was not a controlling officer the first year. I was just a permanent secretary. And because I believe so very much in fiduciary responsibility and accounting for public funds, for the 2 years consecutive now, at the ministry, we have had 0 or 12. No queries. This is very important so that most of our people begin to understand that every dime that is given, particularly, you know, from the taxpayers, has got to be accounted for. And for me, my affinity to the Millennium Challenge Corporation is twofold. Because I'm a naturalized American since 1991. And so I also pay taxes. I declare my taxes to the federal government and to the state government. I've got 2 homes. One in Springfield, Massachusetts, where I pay their state tax as well as federal tax. But for Florida, in Orlando, I don't pay state tax, as you know. I only pay federal tax. So the amount of money that we're talking about that has come from the Millennium Challenge Corporation, I am a party to it. I'm a contributor to that. And so I've got to make sure that every dime is well accounted for. And it's very, very important. The other front simply is that I also pay taxes to the Zambian government. So the counterpart funding that has been put into the Millennium, you know, projects, which amounts to 51.5 million, I've also contributed to that. So I came to the right forum so that I may try also to see what efforts we can put together. We are immensely grateful to everybody else who has come. When we talk about $355 million, we're not talking about 350 million kwacha. It is dollars, you know. So it's very, very important that we try to do these things in a far much better way. Or obviously, as an investment in the water sector for, you know, water supply and sanitation and the drainage projects, that has come out very, very well. My ministry and my colleagues in the new ministry, we came to the tail end of this project. But I think to make things simplified for our friends and our colleagues at the Millennium Challenge account Zambia was to support it throughout the entire process. And this is what we have done, going to the Treasury, speaking to the Chancellor of the Exchequer. We need to put up the monies that is due to them. And we have done that, you know, above and beyond. And it is very, very important. What has come, you know, is much appreciated. And from the American government, this type of benevolence really can only be now put from reality to actuality through the EDAMS That is the only way. There is no any other way around. Yes, we do acknowledge, and from my standpoint, I know very well that there are no perfect systems in the world. There are no perfect families, no perfect people, no perfect leaders, no perfect anything. All we try to do is to work near perfection. And the tools and the blocks that has been put together now in terms of the EDAMS MMS module is one that is working like a compass to take us to another level. And for me, I think, the Millennium Challenge Zambia has transitioned now into another project in the EDAMS MMS modules. And I think we just need to expand that. And I'll show you the know-how of how I think in my little thinking how things need to be done. Hence my argument. The water sector is very small. And we don't have to be all engineers. And we argue, I'm not an engineer, I knew nothing about water and sanitation. If it wasn't for JK, if it wasn't for Jimmy, if it wasn't for people like, Chitumbo and my other colleagues. And, you are just there to manage, to just make sure things are done in the right way. How our people have got to have access to clean and safe water. Very important. And then also sanitation. These are key things. They are basic things that every human being needs, whether small or old, whether educated or uneducated, whether rich or poor. And these are the very basics that has even brought us together here. Brothers and sisters, water and sanitation remains a key developmental agenda, not only for us seated here, but for this government as well. That's why we went ahead and we fought to make sure that water supply and sanitation become a priority in the 7th National Development Plan. Initially, some of our people were coining that, they even refused, until we decided to just be, lumpen, to make a lot of noise, to just make sure that water supply and sanitation actually become a priority. And so it is also with water resource development. The infrastructure, it is now a priority in the 7th National Development Plan. So this plays a critical role in what they call a socio-economic, advancement of any country. Now, whenever you see they make all these phrases, socio-economic development, sometimes they look, like semantics or allegorical. They're simply trying to say that woman who sells corn, on her head in the evening at fueling stations, whatever we do has got to be translated into making sure that she's secure. She can buy food, she can pay tuition for the children, and she can pay bills. That's the meaning of socio-economic development. That's why, water becomes a critical part. And this project that has brought us together here today has played a major role, so as to speak like a Bakaira, or like the open way to come and say, everybody else, you need to look into this direction, and we need to go there. There is no country that left the water issues and sanitation behind that advanced. No country. Hence, this government decided to make sure that it become committed in making sure that it improve access to both water and sanitation up and down the country. It is a priority, and that becomes very, very important. And of course, we know very well that, as we go back into the 7th National Development Plan, I can quote for you, sentence by sentence, stanza by stanza. I can quote for you page by page. You'll be able to find where the water sector is sitting and the subsector. You go to page number, 102, you find it there. You go to page 96, you find it there. It is very important to this government. So it is very important that, water and sanitation is not only something we will talk about in terms of the SDG number 6. I've always talked about that. I think the strategic development goals should be able to provide answers where water, supply and sanitation is concerned. We don't want to move away again like the way we did from the MDGs to SDGs. If we fail in this sector and clean and safe water for wherever they are. So obviously, EDAMS MMS modules for me, it is very, very important. What I pick out is that it also is a tool that the local municipality and the local councils, they can use to plan for settlement as well as urban upgrade, because they'll be able to know where things are. So this cannot only be shared, among commercial utilities, but all our local municipalities, they need to be privy for this information. They need to know where the infrastructure is. so that as they plan, they do things in a very good way. Number two, I think for those who remain with, running with the EDAMS NMS models, do not only restrict it only to commercial utilities. Let's push the button, let's push the envelope, and take it to kids in schools. When they begin to learn from the tender age, even just for a fuss of it, about that, EDAMS NMS modules exist, you will start to create water engineers in them. And you're going to arouse their interest. And they'll be able to pick up these types of things. Like in Zambia, we've negated now the ideas we used to have in schools like Jets Club, if you remember that. Junior scientists, the Chongololo Club that was there. Applied sciences is not there anymore. But so this module will be also a point that, we can piggyback from it and start sharing with people how important it is to make sure that people start to think about asset management and value. That in itself for me is also job creation. Because there's going to be some people that will be able to pick up the remains and create a system that will be able to make others feel very much interested and run with it. This investment will bring about a great transformation in the operation of not only Lusaka Water, but all those that are going to pick up this from other commercial utilities. I would like to reassure most of our customers, that service delivery has got to improve. And so this is also a clarion call to all commercial utilities. These projects that are underway and almost coming to the tail end of it has got to transform people's livelihood. We can't be Zambians and celebrate infrastructure only in brick and mortar. Oh, this building is nice, this infrastructure is nice. Nothing like that in the water sector. If a rising main is maintained and kept in the right way, at the end of that rising main, it has got to produce clean and safe water for the people. Then the meaning of it becomes very, very important. So, it is very important that our people in commercial utilities, they may take this as a clarion call that we may wake up and make sure we do things as to the expectations of our customers. Already the tools have been provided. Ladies and gentlemen, the Zambian population is still growing. It is amazing and paralyzingly so to think that when Dr. Kaunda left office in 1991, we were only 7 million in Zambia. 7 million. 25 years later and still counting, you see we have doubled that number. Now we've even taken the policy of dual nationality. Now in Zambia, dual citizenship, the number will cascade. It will go even up higher. So if we cannot maintain the infrastructure that is left now out of this project, we're going to go back and start thinking about laying another infrastructure. And where is the money going to come from? And this is a problem from where, financial management is concerned. And I think we have got to push this even further. To those of you that have had a privilege to go and, study from outside of, the perimeters of Zambia, you come and discover if your credit is good, you go in a particular country, they give you a credit card with a credit line. Not knowing that it's no money there, it's just a credit line that is there. So you can imagine, I've got an ATM card here, it is my current account, or whatever account, there's money in there, and I've got a credit card here, there's no money. And there is probably, a credit line of $10,000 or $20,000. I start chewing that money, and yet it is not even money. It is not even my money. So in terms of managing, we have got to start living within our budgets. Infrastructure is given. This is the first of its kind since the British, they left Zambia. The infrastructure that we have underground Zambia was the one that was laid together with the law 1959. Now imagine, infrastructure has come. The assets are there now. We need to find ways and means of looking after this. That's why EDAMS NMS module become very important to all of us. Of course, as the population now grows in this sector, for us to meet the growing demand, this module that is talked about, we have got to embrace it without questions. Very, very important. Lusaka's population needs it. You and I, we need it. This government realizes they need to continue investing in the sector due to rapid population growth, especially in fast-growing cities. Lusaka is one of it, where we are today here. And for that reason, the government will continue to mobilize resources, internally and also from cooperating partners, as we strive to improve access to adequate sanitation and clean drinking water. Agenda 2030, where does it put us? It is a challenge to the water engineers that are here today, and much more so not for us who have come as auxiliary workers in this sector. Because if by year 2030, we cannot have tap water and drinkable water, we will have failed. You can imagine we've got my colleagues from Lusaka Water here. Instead of us having the jars of water from the taps, we went ahead and we bought the water. Meaning the water they give us, they can't even trust it. For now, you are forgiven. Come 2030, tap water should be drinkable. That we don't, pay crumbs to it, and it is very, very important. Brothers and sisters, you agree with me that investing in water and sanitation infrastructure is a very expensive undertaking. That we acknowledge. And therefore, this speaks to the need to have in place the EDAMS MMS module. Very, very important. It is one thing to acquire something very good, and it is another thing to maintain it. And that's where the problem comes in. You're going to take people who have got no compendium that thinks forward, the people who have got no capacity to do things, take them into a hotel room like this one that is so clean, within a short period of time they will turn it into a slum. And you take people who embrace the EDAMS MMS modules and put them in a slum or in a ramshackle, they will turn it into becoming like a hotel room. That's the difference. And so this is a challenge to commercial utilities, and much more so for Lusaka Water. I'm glad to be here, brothers and sisters, to witness this launch. Asset maintenance management system for Lusaka, and possibly all other commercial utilities becomes very important. I'm reliably informed, of course, that Lusaka Water is expected to take over the assets in the next 2 to 3 years from where we end, but that was spoken also, by a consultant. Put together all the assets, $1 billion. It's a lot of money in form of assets. And I want to make sure that through Lusaka Water, you need to enhance, starting from now going forward, the security. We have got a lot of saboteurs. How do you go and start uplifting manholes? For what? Scrap metal? Now you can imagine if EDAMS MMS module is in place and we are striving to make sure we implement it, but in the process as we are trying to do that, then saboteurs are coming along the way. They are taking, they are unearthing, manholes are being lifted up and everything else. The whole thing is going to fail. And we know for sure that all the quantum of the Millennium Challenge project, what they've contributed, the amounts that we are talking about, leaving $1 billion in terms of assets of what we are talking about here, this of course is more than 35% of funded amount of money in terms of contribution. So it is very, very important that we work together and we do this. There is need for Lusaka Water to ensure that asset management is institutionalized. That becomes very important. I saw the young people that came here, that we are talking, and for Zambia, we have got to start transitioning. When we are doing the bullet points and things like that, let's make it even more interesting, that everybody else will be able to understand what we are talking about. They did very well, but most of them, they're engineers, basically. Did you see the way they were ending? When you are thinking that they'll talk more, then they say, thank you. Engineers, and Dr. Akunda already spoke about that. So let's try to, as we institutionalize, the EDAMS MMS, it becomes very important that you can even choreograph it in the local languages that people will be able to understand. And once they understand that, your implementation will be very easy for you to carry over. Very important, I think service delivery will be improved. My brothers and sisters, Uganda stands tall in terms of, what we call here as non-revenue water. They've done very well. And we can no longer allow treated water. And I think commercial utilities, they've got to take this upon themselves as an anthem. You know, the infrastructure which is left, we're not expecting, you know, punctured holes here and there, blockages and leaks and all that. We don't expect that. But I think going forward, what is very important is to make sure that we police the infrastructure. That is the reason as to why everybody has got to be involved. The incentives can be given to mothers and men to say wherever you are, where you have seen we have put the infrastructure, here is an incentive that we're going to give it to you. Whistleblower type of a thing, if you like. Should you see anybody uplifting the manholes or trying to puncture, you know, the rising men, you let us know. Here is a toll-free number, and you give them an incentive. You are also creating employment, even though that is paraprofessional. That becomes very, very important. So non-revenue water should be something that we are going to deal with, and deal with it right now, right here. Brothers and sisters, we have got another problem. If this is going to go forward to our customers, it is egg and chicken situation they talk about. If commercial utility fail to supply, you know, water to the people at the required time, at all times, they're going to have problems to pay the bills. And rightly so. It becomes even more problem if they are billed wrongly. There is a problem, and we should acknowledge that. So I think what we need to do is for us to conscientize our people. By the way, it is not so very much about our culture to pay bills. We're not the people who pay bills. You know what I'm talking about? So we have got to tell our people more, you know. And this is something that we have got to work on. Let's not just follow, you know, the blueprint as if we're and say, pay, pay, pay. Because if you can pay bills for me, I'll be very happy. Most of you, my brothers and sisters who are here, you know our system and our culture. You travel, you go outside the country, I tell you, you're going to bring me a gift. And whether you've got money or you don't have, it's not my problem. You've got to bring me a gift. And when you bring that gift, you're going to bring it to my home. If you don't do that, then you're not my relative. It is the same thing. Yes, we want to have, you know, this resource, but if I cannot pay for it, I'll be better off. And we as water sector, we are playing into that system by a failure to let them know that the chemicals that we buy are very expensive. That's why you hear people argue and say, why are you charging for people for water that God gives? No, rain is different from the water that Lusaka water provides. And they've got to begin to understand that. Water doesn't come from the tap, it comes from somewhere else. So all these are very, very important that we work together and see the best way we can do. Non-revenue water has costed millions and millions and millions, you know, of kwachas, which could have been invested in the expansion of water supply to areas currently not serviced. But we just leave it like that. I envision in my dreams that, you know, commercial utilities such as Lusaka Water, they need to have the rapid response small vehicles. You know, when they hear that, you know, there is a blockage of a pipe somewhere else, they go on our roads to go and attend to the leak that is taking place somewhere. In that way, everybody else is going to start paying attention to the resource called water. And it is very, very important. It is therefore very important for this company to ensure that the issue of asset management is taken very seriously. And I would like to learn even more about it myself. I would like to urge the public to have a sense of ownership and responsibility by taking good care of the infrastructure born out of this project and reporting all manner of vandalism to the relevant authorities. But on the other hand, once again, Lusaka Water must ensure that the infrastructure is used in the most sustainable way. And one of it is to make sure you start thinking about creating employment. I am an ardent advocate of interns. And all the allowances that we get, if we're going to only let go a quarter of that, each one of us will have taken most of the students from our learning institutions that can police the infrastructure. And they'll do it religiously. And they'll go out and they are good at writing, they are good at reporting. They have got no, you know, constituencies where they are going to please or appease. You give them an assignment, they do it and execute it. And that you can do so that 10 years from now or 20 years from now, we can invite, you know, panel we can invite back Steve to come and say, you know, the infrastructure you left is still very intact. And I think that will be a very, very good thing. So, my brothers and sisters, it is very, very important for us to make sure that those who have been working on this project, this sector is very small. We cannot discard all the competences. You need to come through. Even through my office, we sit down together and find a way. We can try to create a few things, place you there, put you there, and you go and do this so that this sector may grow even bigger. We need to expand the faculties that we have. Those who've been working on the project, you should not shelve their experiences. We need to bring them on board into the ministry to make sure we do things in the right way. And of course, for me, in winding out would be that EDAMS modules is just putting systems in place. And I think that is what is very important. I heard about the policy, you know, in a company, which I think is very, very good. And I heard also the business plan, a module from Lusaka. Let's strive together, and water is life, and also water is medicine. But this type of medicine is not curative medicine, but rather preventive medicine. In water we trust. We are water people. Thank you and God bless.
Please cut. You're invited to cut the ribbon. And then you are invited to lift that particular showing. Please you lift it and you show it, and then everyone else can hold, touch, yes, so the camera and pose. Please, Jonathan, just move closer. I know you're scared of the PS, but just move closer. Thank you. Please smile. Smile, please. Thank you. Team, let's give it up to you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, let's see. Don't go anywhere. Please don't go anywhere. There's a small activity that we need to do. Where we are awarding certificates to a few members of staff who have been trained and they've been working with the consultant. They've been working very hard. Mr. Agre Chama, so get your certificate, shake.
Oh, sure, you
can start from there.
You can start here, okay?
And please pose for a photo. Tell my brother so we can take a photo. Thank you. Next is Mr. Lioba Nyirenda. These are the people who are corrupting my tongue. Nyirenda. Lioba Nyirenda. Ms. Kasabwe and Grim Kandawire, that's a good combination. At least there's some dilution. Oh, asset management. Thank you very much. Come this way. This is such a pose for a photo. We'll follow Mr. Ricardo. Followed by Mr. Mununga Mungaru. Mununga is the area where they bewitch the birds. Mr. Mununga Mungaru. Yes, that gentleman is coming, comes from that area in Iwapula, in Mununga, where they even bewitch the birds. Yeah. I usually don't associate with him. In case he bewitches me. Mr. Kambomanza. Thank you, my brother. Mr. Kambomanza. He also one of those corrupting our tongue. Yeah. Remember, it's water, not in water. Yeah. Kambomanza. Womubita mubita. Wanda temubita mubita. Yeah. Coming from the longest bridge in Zambia. Mubita mubita. Yeah. They didn't have enough names. They just had to repeat the first name. Yes, Mubita Mubita. They put it out Shangwe. Yeah, not enough names. Miss Aogola Mondea Sato. Aongola Mondea Sato. Ikongolo. Aongola Mondea Sato. Thank you. Isaac Kamwendo. Isaac Kamwendo. Kamwendo is here. Are you here? Okay, Isaac Kamwendo is not here. Kamwendo actually means elect. Titus Matarishi. Michael Mwinga. Vandamavisi. Tuyiwa Nancy Matwi Kukuta. Josephat Mansa. Nitwe makwewa system. Josephat Mansa. Then there is missing Kweruka Muni Kabwiri. Miss Kweruka Muni Kabwiri. Please smile. Mr. Chisula Chisanga. Nice. Mr. Chisula Chisanga. There are two others there. Mr. Richard Musolola, who is not around. And Mr. Chuala Mugaga is also not around. I know that Mr. Kopeka Samala, Mr. Kopeka, for knowledge transfer as well, but belongs to Lusaka Water. He is one amongst other engineers we work with. Then Mr. Joseph Tembo. There are also certificates of recognition for commitment, hard work, drive, and dedication. There are certificates of recognition. For this one, we have the certificate of recognition going to Ms. Kasalweka and Mukandawibe. Hard work pays. The second certificate she's receiving. Okay, thank you. Pause and smile, please. Thank you. Another certificate of recognition to Joseph Tembo, another corrector of the town, for commitment, hard work, drive, dedication, and exceptional contribution on the asset management project. These are people who don't just come to learn, but they contribute, and is actually added to, value addition to the project. I think well done. Yeah, well done again. Yeah. I can comment, these tenants sometimes when they are dedicated, they are really dedicated. Humble but dedicated. Well done again. Why? Also from Katesa Beka Zigo. I think that's it. Please, you may take your seats. Thank you. To the project and to Lusaka Water. Stephen Ma, thank you very much for representing your country very well. Yeah, you're not only a mentor of the project, and I know you nag a lot when you want deliverables, but you're a good person, you're a good man. You love your family, and you represent family values very well. So it's always good to learn and get the best from people that we interact with. So well done. The only thing I failed to learn from you is your height. But otherwise, in terms of values, I'll be able to get something. MD, I can call you at midnight when there's a problem and you pick up the call. If you find a missed call, you call me back. And we deliver and we solve problems. That's for granted. We respect them. And when we are free with you, it's not because we disrespect you. It's because we love your humility. So keep it up, sir. Right.